Hey guys, welcome. Just tuning up here. We'll kick off the live Q&A in a sec. Go ahead if you are here, the whole two of you. Um, comments? Turning that on. Okay, there we go. And if you are on Instagram, if you would be so kind as to switch over to the Bunkie Life Heartland Facebook, you can actually put comments in. So please, there's somebody there. It's probably my wife. If you're on Instagram, hello, Drew Hitchcock. Dude, you win a prize of some kind on YouTube. Cool. Drew, can you hear me? I'm getting a sound check with you, Drew. YouTube is your jam. I wish it was my jam. There's like 100 subscribers on there. I'm gonna try to work on that. Where do you live, Drew? Vaguely. I need your personal address, personal information, but whereabouts in the country? Or Cincinnati. Woo! Isn't that really close to Louisville, Kentucky? 1.5. Okay, so it's not that close. There's one right over the border. Can't remember what it is. So Drew, if you have a Bunkie question, put that sucker in the comments, man. And anybody else as you join, thank you for coming. Go ahead and start loading up your comments, your questions in the comments. What do you want to know about the build process, permits, HVAC, insulation, uses? How good are they for this or that and the other? Go ahead and hit me up. Not showing live on Instagram. Because I have to launch it. That's why. Okay, we're going live on Instagram. Boom. Now we should be getting a whole lot of people all of a sudden because that's where all the followership's at. So cool. If you're joining now, go ahead. You can put that right over there, AJ. I've got the heat on here though, so it should be good. If you're just joining now live from Instagram, I would suggest you go over to Facebook because you can actually comment. The Instagram comments do not come through here, and so you need to go to Facebook or YouTube. Go to Bunkie Life Heartland. Okay, Becky's coming through with a ding ding because she gets through my wife gets through my do not disturb. There we go. Okay, so Drew likes concept. They want to get a bunch of land, put a bunch of monkeys on it. It would be interesting. If you guys have ever heard of Hip Camp, not Hip Camp, sorry, that's a completely different thing. It's a website, an app. If you ever heard of Auto Camp, they basically line up a whole bunch of tents. They've got gravel paths down the middle of them, and then they've got like a shower stall, bathroom stuff at the end, and then like a big community pavilion kind of thing. You want to sing a song with me, Annika? And they're doing really, really well. I was talking to someone not too long ago who I think has a decent amount of money. They're pretty accomplished entrepreneur and computer and builder and all kinds of stuff. And he goes to these things all the time. He was actually at it's been like 3 or 4 of them, different ones in some awesome places, and they're raking in cash with a bunch of tents lined up and stuff. So very low startup. It's a good business. But it's also good for like families, right? Because when families get together, whether it's at your house or this piece of property like Drew wants to get, you've got privacy. If you actually give each person a different one, they've got privacy as opposed to like, well, let's build a bigger place. It's got multiple bedrooms. Like you can actually get away from everybody when you've got multiple bunkies. And so I was just speaking to this guy in. Who's going to put one up in the Northeast, in Maine, actually, out in the woods. And they're going to do multiple. They're going to have like 2 bunk houses, because that's like Bunkie is a bunkhouse, right? 2 of them for kids, The boys' cabin, the girls' cabin were all the cousins, and then different, maybe a chalet or not a chalet, maybe a chalet too, but havens and stuff like that for the couples, the adult couples, and then a one-story model or two for grandma and grandpa that don't really want to climb ladders to get up in the loft. Drew is part owner in an entrepreneur retreat startup based out of Tennessee that I shared this with too. Hey, that's cool. We definitely need to talk in that case. Yeah. So I'm assuming, Drew, you went over to YouTube. You found me on Instagram, and so you've maybe seen some of the little bit longer form content. There's a full build video on YouTube. So YouTube's a great place to go to find more and more information. Drew, if you want to just keep on hitting me up with questions, like technical questions, that would be super. And I'm going to sing a song for just a minute to pass some time, see if we can gather some more people that want to check it out, and hopefully we will gather some questions. So if you're just coming in, go ahead and pop in your questions. Tell us where you're from, what you're doing, what you might think you want to do with a bunkie, and I'll tell you if it's a good idea or not. Because I'll be honest, sometimes people are like, I want to do this. And I'm like, nope, bad idea. Do something else. What song am I going to sing? Let's see here. This is like my favorite. My guitar's out of tune. I'm going to go ahead and answer that question from Farmer Brad. What's up, Farmer Brad? It very much depends on what county you're in as to whether or not pouring a foundation will cause permit issues. Some places, like in Florida, may require you to do a slab or something like that, and or show some kind of anchoring into the ground. Florida's difficult, to be honest, but people have done it, and where I'm at, I've got a poured foundation, but I don't need one. A poured foundation is kind of overkill, and it doesn't give you the flexibility to go off grid first and then on grid later in the same way. If you do an elevated deck platform, you can go off grid first and then decide that you want to go on grid and then add pipes and wires up through the bottom of it. Just figure out what you want up top, put your drill, your hole saw through, and put the pipes where you want them. And because if you go with the concrete foundation, you're stuck with whatever you thought was a good idea when you did the foundation, or when somebody else did the slab for you and they were familiar with like standard wall thicknesses and stuff, and this is different, and they might screw it up. Office space, excellent office space. I would say it depends on the region. Like for me, as a home office, we already have one bunkie here at the property, and we're going to get another one or two probably here shortly. And for me, it's a good office space. I'll leave it dry. I won't have any plumbing, and when I'm not there, I won't heat it. Right? If it was all the time, you needed to be there all the time, plumb it, put water supply in there, and keep it heated all the time. Depending on the region you're in, it might be fine. Tennessee could be fine. I don't think I want to do that in Minnesota. The purpose of these is to be way cheaper than traditional construction, which right now, I actually talked to a contractor last night. He said there's absolutely no way in the world you could do an addition with a bathroom for less than $250 per square foot. He's working north of Atlanta, and he's like, no way. And then somebody else told me $170 a square foot. Maybe it was 167, I think it was, for in a home addition with no electricity and no water and no HVAC. $168 or $7 a square foot. So it's a whole lot. Whereas with a bunkie, you've got you're in at less than sometimes less than $60 a square foot, US dollars. So tax purpose has 100% use. Ooh, that's a really good point, Farmer Brad, for the kill. That was great. Yeah. Whereas if the home office is in your house, you have to give it like you can only get like a percentage, I believe. This is not tax or legal advice, by the way. The tax and legal advice I am giving you and that Farmer Brad is giving you should not be misconstrued as tax or legal advice. This message from the lawyers. But yes, good point. That's the home office, or that's the office. It's its own separate thing, 100% business use, right? It's a much better tax situation. What's wrong with it? If you're just joining, go ahead and hit us up. with questions and stuff, if you're on Instagram, maybe switch over to YouTube or Facebook, because Instagram's comments in the chat don't come through. You know what? I could probably switch pages just for a sec. Oh man, let's see here. We love to use a bunkie as a guest house. What would shipping to North Louisiana area be? Let's see here. If it's oh, they're not even showing my viewers from that. Okay, gotcha. So Instagram folks, yeah, continue to go over to Facebook and YouTube, Bunkie Life Heartland at Facebook or YouTube. And I'll actually get to see your comments a little easier. But you guys must be in Ruston, Louisiana. I've got a lot of my family. My mom was born at Spring Hill, actually. Let's see here. So guest house is perfect. North Louisiana would be a great place for one. And the shipping there, I would say you're somewhere. If nobody else is going with you, and it's just a partial truckload, you're probably somewhere between here is that one? It's probably $2,000, and that's if you go to a trucking yard and get and so we don't bring it all the way to your house, because that would take a separate truck to get it there with a piggyback forklift to get it off, or a wrecker with a tilt bed. We could get it there that way, and then. But yeah, if you're willing to drive, like probably within an hour or less, probably less than an hour, probably less than 30 minutes, and to a trucking yard where we can take it with the big truck, and then they can fork it onto your trailer. You need like probably, depending on which one, maybe a 16 or 18 foot minimum trailer to stick it on, so that you can get it the rest of the way home. But hopefully, we can time it so that your cost would be closer to like $1,000. Maybe less, depending on just how much we can get down there. So get all your friends together and make that happen. I am looking for the comments here, and I'll get back over to the Facebook and YouTube here shortly. Home office and a home office in the backyard and a permit. Permitting, I have no idea. In Canada, they have very basically uniform code as far as the stuff goes, and most of the bunkies are made so that you don't need a permit to build them in Canada. However, down here in the land of the free, if you live in a municipality of just about any kind, you're not very free at all, right? But you would be surprised what you can get away with, especially if it's a shed or a storage unit. You can do a lot more. And even if you're calling it a dwelling, things are changing. Younger people are getting in there. There is tiny house code now, and all our stuff is built to tiny house code. And you may need to have need to get a permit. You might not. For our lofted models, we have engineer stamped drawings, so that will usually smooth the process in the permit office when you come in with an engineer stamped drawing like that. Let's see here. Will there be larger bunkies, more than the 14.9 by 10? We were actually talking about that today. Right now, like if you look at the 14.9 by 10, that sounds like a rockwood. And we have the rockwood 199 that's a bit deeper than that. I want to say it's about 13.5 feet deep, and that's 14.9 wide. And then we've got the 14 by 9 or the 14.9 by 10 that is it's a lofted model of the rockwood. And then there's also a lofted model of the hideaway. So it's basically the 160 square foot models of the rockwood and hideaway that are lofted. So you get an extra 89 square feet upstairs in in the hideaway, and an extra, I can't remember, 83 or something like that in the rockwood. So you're right up there at or just below 250 square feet, which is pretty decent. Can you add two bunkies together to get a bigger home? If you do, you assume the risk, right? So people do it all the time. And if so, I could send you pictures if you message me. I will send you some pictures. People definitely do it all the time. It's not that hard. You need to know what you're doing, but we don't make them in such a way as to, we don't make kits to go together. Okay, what you see is what you get. It's not hard to alter them to hook them together. You need to do it in a responsible manner, and maybe consult someone that knows what they're doing if you don't. Maybe even an engineer. Having said that, the reason we don't do it is because, like I said, we are built to tiny house code. So tiny house code allows us to have lofts with short ceilings and things like that. It allows us to have the ship ladder as opposed to a normal staircase. And if we build them purposely to be put together, then you can start putting them together in a way that no longer conforms to tiny house code, i.e. you could make something greater than 400 square feet and it would not qualify anymore. And that would make us, kind of liable, not liable. So there may be some stuff coming that is probably not bigger than 250 square feet though. Let's see here. What is your YouTube channel name again? It's the same one. Vivilla Farm. That might be some Cajun stuff right there. Is that a French thing? I don't know. Maybe it's not. YouTube channel is Bunkie Life Heartland as well. Bunkie Life Heartland for the YouTube channel. Cool. I'm going to run back over here and check out my Facebook and YouTube folks. See if there's I don't know, I guess change it on. Oh no, he said so yeah, Farmer Brad. That would be neat if there could be livestock lean-to kits with this style of building, but it would probably have to be thicker wood. I would say as long as you don't put a bull in it, you would be fine. I wouldn't want to put a bull in one though. We haven't done the livestock lean-to kit. I could ask about that. I'm just thinking that because of the way the construction is, 3 walls is just not solid enough. So I don't think we'll be doing that. I think you'll still have to go down to like the folks that build purpose-made livestock lean-tos. Just because of the nature of the link log thing, you really need a 4th wall, at least a partial. But it's a thought. I could talk to Carrie about that. Let's see here. Thank you, Becky. Cool. So if you just joined, we are rocking and rolling and having some questions answered. Answered quite a few questions so far. Happy to answer them again. Nobody's asked about insulation yet, which is just surprising as all get out. Because if you haven't noticed, in the massive hundreds of comments, I think we're almost 1,000 comments on the most viral video. And thanks to all of you for making it a viral video. It's knocking on the door of 3.3 million. So, hey, Drew asked the question. So how does insulation work on them? Thank you, Drew. You gave me my prompt. So basically, we recommend you put 1.5 inches. You could put more, I guess. Yeah, a 2x4 is actually 1.5 inches thick. It's a standard 2x4 that you get from Lowe's. Cool thing. And hey, Jesse Babineau from Ruston, not the least bit French sounding name there. I'm gonna get back to the insulation thing and just work in the mini split question. Mini split AC potential, absolutely. Les bon temps roulés. I don't think that answers the question, but I like to say it. The mini split is perfect. So mini splits are hyper efficient. They're not just a little bit efficient. They're super efficient. They're up in the like 22 to 26. They might be higher than that SEER rating. 20 years ago, I don't think you could have gotten more than a 12 SEER, HVAC in your house. So imagine it being twice or even more efficient than that. Plus, because there's no ducts, you're not losing anything. So it's the ductless mini split thing. It's a great, great deal. I watched Justin Wilson back in the day, the Cajun cook. So sometimes I pull him up and let the kids watch him. Anyway, you might like that. Let's see here. So the mini splits are great. They're super efficient. The sides of the bunkies are 1 5/8 inch spruce. It's all made of spruce, which is great. It'll be great down in Louisiana because moisture and all that, it handles it very well. They used to build ships out of spruce. I'm sure somebody still does. They built airplanes out of spruce. Howard Hughes built the Spruce Goose out of spruce because it could handle water and be light enough to fly. So it was a flying boat. So we built them out of spruce for that reason. It's 1.5 or 1 5/8 inches thick. That's not that thick, but instead of like with conventional construction where the insulation in the walls will sag over time and leave big gaps and stuff, it's always there. It doesn't lose shape. It also seals very, very well because it's made of spruce. It doesn't warp. And so it seals very well. The way they're designed, the way they're done by machine, it's works very, very well. So the part that can be insulated, Steph, what I'm getting to, is the ceiling and the floor. So 1.5 XPS insulation is the way I would say to do it. The kit comes with everything from the sill plates, the pressure treated stuff, all the way up to the roof decking, which is also your ceiling. So you basically lay 2x4s up there, and then you put the insulation in between the 2x4s. 1.5 foam insulation, XPS insulation is what I'd recommend. And then you lay your metal roof on top of that. So that is like a 70 to 90% solution, kind of depending on where you are. Now back to the mini splits. Jesse from Ruston is asking about the mini split for cooling, because obviously in Louisiana, cooling is more of a concern than heating. Mini splits are twice as efficient in the cooling mode as they are in the heating mode. So down south, you're great. They're going to put out good cold air, and you're going to be good. You really want to make sure you insulate the bottom well, seal it, do some caulking, maybe do spray foam a little bit to get the gaps, and then caulk around your windows, except not the bottom of your window, not the bottom of your door, because it's made to leak. Not leak. It's made to shed water that way. You can caulk around all the way on the inside of the window and the inside of the door so that it seals up well. And that mini split is going to do a very, very good job of cooling that bunkie down, and you will be just fine. I've been asked from people in like places in Arizona where it gets to 130, is it going to work there? And I'm like, well, you might need a bigger mini split, or if you could put it by a tree for some shade, you'd probably be fine. Haven't done it personally. I do not know if this will be available for replay, but I will try to make it available for replay if I'll do what I can. No promises. It's my first time using this software, so I have no idea, but I think I can. So what kind of bunkie options are there? So if you go to bunkielife.com/heartland, which we're going to probably have our own independent website pretty shortly that's US specific. A lot of people have gone to the website and seen like, this looks like Canadian, right? Drew says it should be on there on YouTube, so go check it out, Jesse. Let's see here. What was I saying? Bunkie options. Yes, go to bunkielife.com/heartland. And you will see all of the bunkie options. And on like the Hideaway and the Rockwood, you will see there's a price range. I need to hire you, Drew, to be my YouTube guy. There'll be a price range, and that's because there's two different sizes there. There's the 160 square foot and the 199 square foot version. But everything else, I think, has its own separate listing, and it goes from the bathroom bunkie at 36 square feet up to the Hideaway at 200, the Hideaway with loft at 250, and the Rockwood with loft just below that, and the everybody's favorite beautiful Haven at 220 square feet. So I'm going to go back over here to my Instagrammers' comments and questions. Looks like we've only got one new one. Cool. About a wood stove. Yes, absolutely a wood stove. And if you live in a northern climate, keeping things from freezing, you're welcome, Billy's. If you live in a northern climate, to keep things from freezing, if you're not living in it, wood's probably not that an option. If you're trying to go on grid and keep it plumbed, I would say plumb it in such a way that you can winterize it. You can drain all the water out and so you're not going to bust anything. If you're going to use it all the time, you might have your mini split going to just keep it above, keep it above freezing, or something like that. The threaded needle on Instagram asked about what's it. Yes, I was answering that. I think there's a little bit of a delay. So the wood stove. The wood stove is a great option, and actually some of the pictures on the website will show you a cubic mini stove. And if you go to bunkielife.com/heartland, and then you click up on the products tab, I believe it is, there's like bunkie accessories, other products, things like that. And there's a link with some kind of little discount code for cubic mini stoves. And they are tiny. They're like this big. And you put little scraps of wood in them. But once you get them going, they're big enough to heat your bunkie up in Canada. In fact, I should probably see if I can grab that video from David and share it on this page about the guy that lives in a bunkie year round in Ontario. And somebody from Canada told me that they said, no. It doesn't work where it's cold. Like not where I live in Canada, where it's warm, but where it's like, dude, it's Canada. It's cold. So I don't understand that. But yeah, it's cold place. He uses a wood stove and stays there all the time. And it's not even a haven or something. It's actually a weekender, which we used to call the 2019 with Loft, and now it's called the Weekender. But he lives in that one all the time. So let's see here. Any other questions? And they do make a kit, and it's actually not that expensive, really, if you consider that it's everything you need. I want to say it would actually it's less than $1,000 from Cubic Mini Stoves to do the stainless steel backing that's going to refract heat away and keep it safe, and the roof kit, the 12 pitch roof kit. How many can I buy in one truckload? That guy right there. Yeah, we need to talk about that. It's right around a dozen, kind of dependent. If it's the bigger ones, which I'm assuming that's what you would want to do. Let's do the bigger ones. Yeah, right around a dozen in a truckload. And you could probably give us a guess on how much it would cost to LTL a bunkie to Louisiana. I might know that guy. All right. Waiting for questions. I'm going to embarrass my family. See if this is in tune enough. Not quite. Really? That's really cheap. $850? Like which one? We gotta talk. That sounds ridiculously cheap. Build again. I won't. I'll wrestle off my clothes and leave right inside. Oh no, see the hammer of fire, a freight train to red hot. Sorry, back up. Thank you. Yes, I'm served to do that better, Drew. I don't think I'm when it hurts. I'm just lucky to have you. Sunday morning, too tired to go to church, but thank God for her. Okay, the guitar's out of tune anyway. Did it get any better, Drew, when I moved the mic away? Did it quit peaking? Let's see here. I'm going over to Instagram, see if I got any more questions. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's go back to Jonathan. Jonathan had a question. So, how much can you charge high and low on Airbnb? I can tell you right now that in the dead season in the middle of nowhere, just my voice. Oh, that's terrible. I'll try something different next time. Thank you, guys. That's exactly Zach is exactly right. So I can tell you what I'm getting here. I am not far from Paducah, Kentucky, but still out in the country a lot. Sounds like a laptop mic. Oh, maybe that's the problem. Maybe I am not utilizing the thing. We're gonna figure this out. One day I will actually Microphone Realtek audio. We got to change that. You know what? I bet it's just the computer. So that stinks. I guess I'm not using my cool microphone that I thought I was using. Oh well. All right. Let me get back to the page here. Just get on with things. And I won't try to use this guitar anymore. I'll just use this guitar as a would-be. I'll hold it. Yeah. Yeah, I need you to come help me out, Jonathan. Okay, so what were we talking about? Airbnb. I will maybe one of these days tell you. I think we're sitting about $50 plus a $40 cleaning fee, so $90 a night on the weekdays, and it's been on and off. That's worked. I've had some weekdays fill up. I'm 5 minutes from interstate too, even though I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's it's mostly touristy here though, right? So there's wineries, there's zip line, there's national forests with hiking trails. People come for that stuff, and so my weekends are filling up at maybe Becky can remind me. Right now they're filling up at like 71 plus 40, so that's I could Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's about 100 and 110, 115 a night. But then as we move into March, I expect it to be about 109, 119 on Friday and Saturday nights, plus $40 cleaning fee. So 160, 180 a night on the weekends. Actually, most of them are two-nighters, so it's going to be split the difference. It's going to be about 130 bucks a night, Friday and Saturday, if you book 2 nights. And then the rest of the week, probably down in the 79 plus the cleaning fee, the $40 cleaning fee for the stay. That's pretty much what I'm getting here. My other cabin that if you were to build it right now would cost you at least $120,000. It seems that it probably gets about 20% more than what the Bunkie gets. And you could pay somebody else to get everything done for you with the Bunkie, and you would still be like max 35,000 to the setup I've got. So roughly a quarter, or touch over a quarter, of the price of the expensive one, and it's only about 20% less income. So the return on investment is massive. Just like Jonathan just said, you're like, hey, I'm lucky to get 130 bucks a night on this $300,000 Airbnb house. And I think you said houses. Yeah, you probably do have houses now, don't you? Ceiling height, first floor, and then loft. Doggone it, I should have looked that up. Maybe somebody that's maybe Becky could look that up real quick. But what I'm going to tell you is that I am 5'7", and when I reach up like this, I'm not close. And if I do a good jump, I can hit it. Actually, I don't even think I don't think I can hit the actual ceiling, but I'll hit the beams going across. So it's probably about 9 feet. And then upstairs, there she is. She got it. Starting to book up 119 weekend rates and marching forward all over it. Absolutely, you can mount a television inside. That is not a problem at all. It's very strong. You could, I wouldn't mount a pull-up bar, but it would hold you. Anybody that was, light enough to pull themselves up anyway. Let's see here. If you have a hideaway, the particular hideaway Bunkie is, sorry, I'm not good at reading comments. Yes, it would be fine on the highway Bunkie for sure. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, and then upstairs. Okay, so upstairs it is roughly 7 feet, just under 7 feet to the bottom of the beam up there. So basically, me being 5'7" again, if I do this, put my arm all the way up and hold my palm flat, but stick it all the way up, I will hit the beam. That's how tall it is. Now you've got about yay much room in between the other beams to walk down. So you kind of have to decide, how you want to set up your furniture based on that. The thing you can also do is you can add extra courses of logs, or boards, or logs. It's link log construction, extra logs upstairs below the window to raise everything up. I have done one with 3 extra. Mine doesn't have any extra, and I kind of wish it did. But I've done one with 3 extra for some folks that they were very tall. They were, I think she was 6'2" or 3, and he was like 6'6". And that made it so you can walk around a lot, more usable space. Also, if you wanted to do a Haven, make sure I'm writing that. So Jesse asked about the ceiling height. Were you talking about the Haven Ultra? Because that's what I've got. That's what I do all my content with right now. But that was the one that I did down in Tennessee for these folks. Which, by the way, there's going to be a video. It's already made. It's already loaded on YouTube. I just need to make the thumbnail and launch it. So I'm thinking these current viral videos are kind of waning now. They're only getting, like 20 or 30,000 views a day. So I'm probably going to do something soon. And it's going to be like an 18-minute. Just what you saw on Instagram. That's the Haven Ultra. That's what I've got. But this video is going to be the build down in Tennessee. We actually, from the time we started building the kit to the time we stopped, was almost right at 24 hours. And we got some of the roof decking on, and then we got a tarp over it and strapped down before the severe thunderstorms came through. We stopped. So that was with the extra courses. It was even bigger than a regular Haven Ultra. How do you insulate the floor? So depending on which foundation you do, you basically do the same thing, but a little bit differently. But I recommend 1.5-inch foam XPS insulation. That's really easy to work with. You cut it, you slap it up in there. You can tape it so it kind of seals off and it's not a whole lot of air flow and all that. But yeah, 1.5-inch XPS insulation works very, very good. And you can get other insulation, the pink stuff, the cellulose kind of things, or fiberglass. That stuff all compresses a little bit, or it sags and it leaves you with gaps. The XPS insulation doesn't do that. The shape it is the shape it is, and it's going to stay that way for longer than I'm going to be around. So I would recommend putting that in there. You could put thicker than 1.5 inches, and you might want to do that in order to get your, if you're further south and heat is the issue down there, because your cold air is gonna lose that coolness out the bottom. Not as much as you will lose it out the top, though obviously the heat can radiate, so you still want it up there as well. Turnkey to pay a local builder before all the other expenses like shipping, slab permits, etc. Thankfully, where I'm at, it was $30 for a permit, and it's open code. There's no inspections, and you do what you want. It really is the land of the free. It's great. No HOA, no nothing. So let's see here. I don't want to misspeak. It's gonna matter. It's gonna depend. So I don't have any American builders yet that are just like, yeah, I've come up with a system and here it is. I myself would be comfortable bidding the project to build a Haven Ultra for about $3,000, maybe even $2,500. Don't tell anybody. If I'm just building the kit. Now, if I've got to put the roof on it, that's going to be another $1,500 parts and labor. It's only about $500 parts, but then you got to get there. I don't do roofs. I fell off of mine. I don't want to fall off of yours. And so I would have a professional roofer do that. They've got to come. They've got to, depending on where you're at, it's a small job. They don't like doing small jobs. They want to show up with 4 guys and knock out, a 3,000 square foot house that's got a huge roof, and they don't want to spend time getting there and setting up, and then it's like, it's done. Well, you're paying for their whole day anyway, and their crew. So I would have to go like $1,500 if I was having somebody else do it. Now, if you self-contract and just find like a roofing guy around, you have somebody that knows how to put on a roof, like that's great. You won't spend that much money, because me and a friend did most of our roofing in 3 or 4 hours. Like it went quick, but it's dangerous. If I was going to spend money on anything, I would not spend money assembling the kit. That's probably the biggest point of the question. Don't spend money getting somebody to assemble a kit if you don't have to. Spend money getting someone to do the foundation, preferably an elevated deck frame foundation. You won't have to level your land. You can decide later on to put in pipes where you want them and electrical where you want it, and you'll have access underneath it. There's a lot of good reasons to do the elevated deck frame foundation and pay somebody else to do that, because frankly, that's kind of a pain. Building the kit, easy as pie. Go look on any of the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube for the world's easiest cabin kit, or Can Kids Build a Bunkie? I think I have it labeled 2 different ways. And if you look at the time lapse in there, you'll actually see that the kids did get it to about 3.5 feet off the ground, and they started, I guess, getting bored or something. Becky had to help them put the door in. Other than that, I mean, they could have kept going. They just kind of lost interest. I think is what she said. They kind of got bored, but we built that thing super fast. The kits are very, very easy. They're made to be put together, and the instructions are great. You just don't pay somebody else to do it. So the best value is to purchase a dozen and hire a contractor to knock them out in 1 to 3 days and start making Airbnb money. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, and I thought, this is the thing, I thought marketing wise on Airbnb that I was going to have a much lower price point for my bunkie as I do my big, nice premium cabin. It's not as low as I thought. And there were times, I keep bringing this up in a lot of things I've done, in the month of December, and I was still getting my prices calibrated. I booked out the bunkie way better than the other cabin. And partially it's because I hadn't dropped the price enough on the other cabin. I had the other cabin up at $20 or $25 a night more, and I needed to have it only $8 or $9 a night more because that's all that I could get. In the title of it is Tiny Cabin, the such and such Tiny Cabin. And people think that's cool. They want to check it out. As a matter of fact, there's people in it right now. That's why I'm hoping to broadcast live from the Bunkie Dome one day, but every time, if it's going to be on a weekend, like I can't do it because there's always people in it on the weekend. And I'm not going to lose out on the Airbnb money. But the people that are here right now, actually, they said they picked it out because they wanted to check out this form of tiny house. And they hadn't found me. They just thought, they're just searching on Airbnb. They saw tiny house. They want to do it. And it seems like there's a lot of people that are like that. They see the character in that. They want to try something new, something different. And I'm telling you, the return on investment is insane. Like on this one, we did basically everything ourselves. If it wasn't us, we were abusing friends. Okay. And so we were about $25,000 all in. That's really low end of what you could do, where it's fully on grid and all that. We were using a composting toilet. We've got, electrical and all that, but and plumbing, no flushing. How long to break even? So it depends on what you put into it. I would suggest, going back to the thing I had said earlier, Drew, about AutoCamp. Go to autocamp.com and look what they're doing, okay? And just copy them. Just straight up copy that, because it's genius. It's brilliant. They put money in an outdoor living space. They throw up a bunch of tents. It looks like a forward operating base in Afghanistan that got invaded by hipsters who knew how to decorate. Okay, so they are not much more. The bunkies are not much more than tents in terms of price. They're a lot lower maintenance, and you could line them up. I mean, the way I would like to do them, I can't have more than 2 rental properties on our property right now because we're required to have a campground permit for more than that. But I would prefer to keep them apart because the privacy to me, as someone who is a regular Airbnb guest, I like to have the privacy. But people are just dumping money out to go stay in these tents that are right next door to each other. And I'm saying, if I went on a romantic weekend, like, I'm not going to the place with tents stacked up next to each other. That just seems kind of silly. But people are doing it. So I would go off grid first, and then I would go on grid after you get your money back. So if you went off grid, there's no reason why you couldn't go off grid. Just do a weekender. Don't even do a Haven Ultra. Do a Haven Ultra. Do a Haven, whatever. But you could even do a weekender. That's like getting my prices. About $8,000. You could be all in $12,000 or $13,000 and have some nice landscaping and stuff too, and have the gravel, including the gravel driveway, and you would probably take it all back in 5 or 6 months or less. I don't expect to get less than $2,000 a month out of the Bunkie between now and November. So to give you an idea, the big cabin, or the Bunkie grossed $1,789 in December. The big cabin only grossed about $1,050, but the big cabin had grossed $4,000, just over $4,000 in November. So imagine what the Bunkie would have done in November. It probably would not have been more than the big cabin. I'm imagining it less. It'll probably have been $3,300. That's how I think it's gonna average out. But average for us, we have like a 9-month season that it's decent, and 3 months where it's kind of dead. I don't expect to see less than $2,000 a month out of it between March and November. And a lot of those months, I expect to see more than $3,000 out of it. So your break even could be really quick. I'm on grid, but if you go off grid, advertise it as that. Lots of cool outdoor living space, fire pit, like make it look like a hipster paradise. And then, maybe even, go all in with a hot tub, a propane hot tub out there you can go off grid with. You will rake in the money. Like, it would shock me if it took you more than 6 or 7 months to break even. And were you in Louisiana too, Drew? I thought you were. So you've got longer season there. I mean, it's basically, I don't know what the demand is, but for me, it's a touristy area, so it works out. Okay, back to Jesse, also in Louisiana. Since that's right, you're in Ohio. I don't know why I said that. So you're pretty similar climate to me. How do they age? Jesse in Louisiana asking, how do they age? When did the first one get built? They're spruce. Okay, over time. Yes. So I'll go back to Howard Hughes and the spruce goose again. It's my favorite topic to talk about with the longevity of the Mooney, the Bunkie. So the spruce goose was kept airworthy for like 15, 20 years after it flew, 30 years, something like that, something crazy. So spruce itself, and we use high quality J-grade spruce, lasts a long, long time if you treat it right. The big thing, if you don't want it to discolor, so you can do nothing to it as long as you keep it, dry. And by dry, I mean like it doesn't stay wet. It can't stay wet and just soaked all the time unless you do special stuff to it, as though you were making a boat. You use gutters, preferably so you don't get the splash up, because you're just going to get dirt on the side and you'll see it. I did a video where I showed, this is where the dirt's been splashing up, because I haven't gotten my gutters on, and there's no warping or anything like that. The first bunkies of these, probably over 20 years now, because they were importing some, getting them made in Europe and stuff like that. Quite a while. But the ones that we've made in the factory opened in 2020, but we had some more that were made kind of like local sawmills and stuff kind of did them for us and to our specs, and then we built them right. So they've been since 2017, 2018. They're doing fine. We're up in Canada. It's like Louisiana but cold in Ontario. It's flat. There's a gazillion lakes. It's very humid. So you get snow piling up against them in the winter, and you get just kind of muggy, weather in the summer, humid. But there is one. So if you stain them, they won't discolor. That'll be great. You have to stain them every few years, and they'll stay really good. If you don't stain them, they will have a weathered look. In fact, I should look this up. I keep saying this every time I talk about it. I should look it up and put it on the website or the socials. Somebody had an old barn that they were putting their bunkie next to, and they wanted the bunkie to match the old barn, so they didn't stain the outside. The bunkie's fine years later, but it just looks weathered. It looks like the old barn. So if you see a piece of wood on the ground, it's kind of grayish, that's what it's going to do if you don't stain it. But if you stain it, kind of depends on your region and how well it's protected from, sideways rain and all that. But I think it's every, depending on the stain you buy, after like 4 to 7 years. So not at all like Louisiana. Yeah, there's nothing cold about Louisiana, right? Very similar to Cyprus. I would say it's very similar to Cyprus. I think I have Cyprus fence posts, board fence in the corral, actually. If you notice here, this is a saddle. It's a saddle we don't use. Usually has one stacked on top of it. The car was bumping into it, so I knocked it on the floor. I'm in the tack room of the barn. That's where I'm doing this. I've noticed that a lot of Bunkie Life Heartland followers look like horse people because they have horses in their profiles. Either that or they're just, they have horses in their profiles. Let's see here. No other questions there. It's okay. All right. What is the sign behind me? It says coffee, 2.5 miles that way. Sometimes we tried some things. We might try it again. What's that stain? LOL. Bunkie Life has a relationship with a particular stain manufacturer that's it's in Canada, and I don't even know if they sell it much in the United States. But yeah, go to your local paint store, and everybody's got kind of the same different levels. There was particularly, so I should look this up, but there was a water-based stain that they were really bragging on that they liked a lot. Let's see here. I'll hit insulation one more time. Was that a joke? Maybe it was a joke. Maybe I shouldn't hit insulation one more time. You can spray foam underneath too, especially like after the fact. Like say you went off grid to begin with, and then you just had to go on grid. You got your pipes and everything in there, and you're like spray foam all underneath the bottom. It'd be great. Bugs. I didn't talk about bugs, and since Jesse's on here, like cypress is pretty rot resistant and bug resistant and stuff, and like cedar is super rot resistant and bug resistant, and spruce is like pretty rot resistant and bug resistant. The wood bees have not hit mine, or the one summer mine's been up. The wood bees did not hit it at all. My house, a few hundred yards away, the fascia board on my house is basically one continuous would bee nest. They just won't leave us alone. But they did not do a thing to the bunkie. And if you've got termites and stuff like that, which obviously in Louisiana you do, the thing about conventional construction is you could have a termite infestation. You're not going to know it until somebody who knows what to look for sees a sign of it, but you won't see the actual infestation itself because it's behind bricks or it's behind stucco or it's behind drywall. And you might not know that you've had a leak going on there for months and months or years and years, or a slow leak that's just keeping your wood soaked. And most termites are going to go after wood that's been soaked and it's nice and soft, and that's what they eat. Whereas with a bunkie, you see it. And so if anything happens, if there's a leak happening, you're going to find it a lot quicker. And if there's any kind of bug infestation, any kind of bugs attacking it, you're going to see that a lot faster too, and you can respond to it. I can't say anything else about spruce. My daughter did her science fair project on different kinds of wood and how they are affected by water. And she empirically tested them. And they do, spruce was the winner by far in how it dealt with water. Okay, I'm going to give you guys just let's see here. Well, there's 6 more minutes till 8 o'clock. I'm going to definitely call it at 8 o'clock. So if you guys have any more questions, I'm getting sore. Yeah, hit me up with them real quick, and we'll probably hang it up. So bonus points from right now is this one. Electrical and financing. Good questions. It is very, very easy to run electrical because what you do is you just put it in conduit. If you don't know what conduit is, just go. If you look at any of my stuff of interior pictures or interior video, maybe you can freeze frame it when I'm looking over like near the kitchen. If you look above the kitchen, there's like, metal pipes that are running around. That's conduit. So there's electrical wires in that. So if uh, you drill one hole, you send conduit through there, and then you just with conduit send all the wires to wherever you want. You'll use little junction boxes or metal um, outlet boxes for outlets, junction boxes for your T's where it goes in different directions, or junction boxes for your fixtures like your lights, fans, things like that you want to put. You screw it right into the wall, and I think it has a cool look. I mean, it's a bunkhouse, right? Bunkie is a bunkhouse, and so it needs to look a little bit rustic. It has that rustic look. On the outside of mine, if you see any of the nighttime pictures or video, I've got actually the conduit below the cantilevered overhang, the kind of front porch area, and I've got the two kind of industrial, rustic looking lights hanging from that. It looks really, really good. Financing. If you message me about financing or email, whatever, I'll give you the financing link. Our financing works. It's good for what it is. It doesn't look slick. It looks kind of generic, like it has nothing to do with Bunkie Life. I'm trying to get them to give us something that does like have our logo on it. But for the US side financing anyway, it's very quick. It takes about a minute to do. You put in your normal or like your ostensible, like what your specs are. Like, yeah, I have a 650 credit score, and I make $70,000 a year, and then I have this much credit card debt or something like that. And it'll spit back on the next page. It'll spit back a bunch of contingent offers. It does not pull. It does not do a hard pull on your credit. It does a soft pull or something, or no pull at all. I think it just goes based on what you told it, and it will give you various terms and payments. And if you don't look at the interest rate, you'll think that's not bad. A Haven Ultra for $350 a month, no big deal. If you look at the interest rates, it's not a very good interest rate. So there may be other options that are better, but if you are talking about putting it on your property and you're going to Airbnb it, and that's the only way you can get it done. It's productive debt. Productive debt is very different than putting the new television on a credit card, right? So it would get shipped to Oklahoma, and then I would need to arrange transport to Louisiana. Did I see that? Okay, so that sounds like a bunkielife.com proper video about Oklahoma. They did a big push in Oklahoma at one point, and we have a relationship there, and there's a few pieces of stock, I think, even still. But no, it probably would not come to Oklahoma. It would probably come. I don't know how it would come. Because right now we're getting a lot of interest all over the U.S. So if there was somebody in Alabama that wanted one, and somebody in Tennessee that wanted one, and somebody in Ohio that wanted one, basically we would drop off Drew's. It would send it'd be LTL, right? So the truck would probably have other things on it. It would have all your bunkies. So it would come through Ohio, Cincinnati, and it would drop off 2 bunkies for Drew, and then it would go into Tennessee, and it would drop off, 6 bunkies for Drew's business, and then it would go into Alabama and drop off the 1 bunkie for that guy, and then it would get the rest of the way down to Tennessee, and it would drop off yours. Probably something like that. And at that point, it would hopefully be not near as much money, maybe something less than $1,000. And of course, if you get your friends and neighbors to buy it at the same time, and you just fill up a truck, you could probably do Louisiana for like a full truck for about $4,000. So split that 12 ways, and the per unit cost is pretty small. The logistics guy tells me I'm right. Yay! I like when it happens. Okay, well, it has been real. It has been fun. We are at an hour, and you guys have a good night. And I won't sing to you since I didn't get my microphone set up working. I'm going to have to buy a different mic because this thing doesn't work. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you so much. Best prices for volume with wide open delivery windows. Oh, good point. I didn't think about that. If you're like, we just want it in somewhere in this 4 weeks. And actually, that comes back to the point of if you can pick it up from the trucking yard, because like if you or a friend has a trailer that you can go get it with, we can have it dropped off at a trucking yard. You go get it. They'll fork it on there. They'll bring it to your house. They'll save some money. Or we can have like just a wrecker, a tilt bed wrecker come and get it. They'll probably charge you $300 or $400, depending on how far they got to go. And that, but all that to say, I'm very ADD. All that to say that we can give it to that truck yard, and they don't usually mind holding it for 3 or 4 weeks. It's like if you had a date you were going to build, and you're like, I just need it by then, so you give them like a 4-week window. That's what Jonathan's talking about. Like, give me some flexibility as a broker because I'm trying to put loads together to make it cheaper for everybody and make it work. So if you're flexible, it's cheaper. Okay. Good night, Steph. Good night, Jonathan. Good night, Jesse. Good night, Nate. Yes, I might need your help on that, Nate. Thank you. And you guys have a good one. We'll see you next time. Shoot me messages if you need anything. Take care.